Hi guys, it's Vicky here. So remember at the big social conference when I told you about the egg that rolled out the mothership in the form of a new, fresh, innovative company called Mark Labs? I'm finally here and I'm in the mothership here with Kevin, who is the CEO. Hi, Kevin.
Hi, how are you?
And this is Mike.
Hello, how are you?
Mark. So guys, thanks for having us here. I'm so super excited to be talking to you guys. You guys are like the epitome of fresh, disruptive tech startup. Tell us a little bit about Mark Labs.
Excellent. So we were started with one goal, and that goal was to disrupt poverty, to use modern technology and the systems that exist to really undermine. That was very Latinate. So I apologize.
No, that's fine.
So yeah. To just make things easy for ordinary people to get involved and to make a difference.
Okay. So in simple language, you want to help us as individuals make a difference in a simpler way, or you want to help companies make a difference in a simpler way?
So we're starting off with companies. However,
Okay.
the larger picture is to make sure that just ordinary individuals that are looking to use their donation dollars more intelligently have a way to do so and get the results that they want.
Okay. So can you add to that, Mike?
Yeah, we're trying to disrupt the way that philanthropy has occurred over the course of the last 100+ years. There haven't been really any changes.
Okay.
And what we experience today is that in this digital era where transactions occur instantaneously, relationships between donors and organizations end as soon as they begin in the moment of the transaction. So we're trying to work now more with incorporating donor engagement in nonprofit endeavors, in philanthropic endeavors, and see how we can shake up the game a little bit. Okay.
So just so that our audience can kind of understand a little bit more about why it's so important for, I guess, something like this to happen for companies, is that every company has a CSR, which is corporate social responsibility initiative or strategy, or most companies. And we're seeing this a lot more because it's going to kind of become like a prerequisite, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So the social contract that most Western countries operate on require companies to operate in a responsible manner. Okay. And part of that responsibility involves corporate philanthropy. That in the United States, that's an $18 billion market. In the UK, it's a multi-billion-dollar market with companies like Barclays giving over £50 million every year to organizations that are driving social change. The problem is that we don't actually know what are the social impacts of these individual organizations. What our company is allowing these organizations to do for the first time is to map out the ecosystem, and that mapping, collecting that data, allows for transparency. That transparency is the foundation for being able to coordinate your approach to social problems, and that coordination allows for us to have a systemic approach that ultimately allows us to finally start chipping away at the root causes of social problems.
Which is super important. I find our generation and a lot of the younger people are really interested in the brands that they get involved with. Absolutely. And they want to know when we're donating where our money is going, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in a sense, how can individuals get involved with what you're doing?
I mean, we're open right now we're trying to map out the nonprofit space as much as possible. One of the biggest challenges that we've faced is that the diversity of not-for-profit organizations is such that it's very difficult to find the same thing twice, and everybody operates with a different means of doing so. I think to start, we'd like to map out the space much more and get more involved with nonprofit organizations, and then be able over time to transfer to corporate and to individuals alike.
So can you just give me a simple example, like using like a brand like Tesla or a nonprofit or a charity like Save the Children, where Mark Labs fits in, and the information you give to the audience and the information you give to a business?
Yeah, so right now when you just pick a charity and you typically write a check or you go online and you donate money.
Yeah.
It's a unilateral transaction. You send your money out there,
Yeah.
and typically the only time you hear back is when they want a little bit more.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just the reality of the situation. Nonprofits are doing really great work in the world,
Yeah.
and they're struggling to stay alive. What our system does, which is a little bit different, is we collect money in mass and we distribute it to nonprofits, but there's a condition. We'll give you these large tranches of money, but in return, you need to give us the KPIs, the key performance indicators.
Which is this information.
Which is
Make it simpler. Okay.
So, plainly,
Okay.
data.
Data.
Which allow us to see for the first time really behind the veil of what's going on within these amazing organizations. And we do it in a way which really trends with younger folks. So they kind of like a Snapchat video stream of all the organization, of all the activities that are going on in the organization, or updates of narratives or stories alongside the really hard numbers that give you an insight into how it's really driving social change.
So if I donate to a charity through Mark Labs, I can see exactly how they're planning to make their money, to put my money to a good cause.
Absolutely.
From their meeting to actually the end beneficiary of my money.
Yeah. So I mean, we recognize that in the nonprofit world, there are two camps. There's something called outputs and outcomes.
Okay.
And now, traditionally, outputs are just counting, say, how many hours of tuition did kids get? But in reality, there's an outcome that we're really going after, which is, are their grades improving? Are they now going to uni where they weren't going to uni before? Through our platform, we're hoping to be able to capture this information, which allows us to more strategically plan over time and to become better donors. So we know where to give our money if we're looking to have a certain social outcome.
Well, this seems kind of like a no-brainer in going forward in the future, where if I want to kind of get together information about a particular brand, I want to know what they're doing, then I would download an app, or how would I say, okay, I need Mark Labs to go through what they will show me how they're actually sustainable, good for the environment, or making a social change. How would I do that?
Yeah, so
Okay.
from currently where it is right now, it's a web-based platform that nonprofit organizations will use that will ultimately communicate and act as an information pipeline for corporations and the grants that they provide those organizations. In the future, and where we're kind of trending, is such that we want to be able to go back. We actually started as an app.
Okay.
Yeah, and it looks like we're gonna go full circle with a intermediary pause as a web-based platform. But from an individual perspective, the way that will work is that nonprofit organizations engage our platform, use the platform to log and manage their data, and produce impact reports. Those impact reports will then be channeled to the necessary stakeholder, the individual that wants to know about it. So in the case of an individual, it could be URI. In the case of a corporation, it could be Barclays or any other corporation here or in the US.
Okay. So where did this idea start? I mean, what are your backgrounds? Are you a tech, or are you corporate social responsibility, or are you just all-round entrepreneurs that just thought, okay, we're going to do something that makes a difference and makes money?
I think what brought us together was a real love of people and
Okay.
a real desire to make a difference.
Okay.
You probably couldn't have a more diverse group of people that are on the Mark team. We have engineers, we have philosophers.
So Mark, you're a philosopher?
Yeah, I studied philosophy in
You studied
school and then worked in China for about a year.
Okay.
Yeah, as a relationship manager, business liaison, and then realized that there was a space that I had engaged with a lot in undergrad as a university student, philanthropy, nonprofits.
Okay.
That was extremely ripe for some serious disruption, and I kind of ultimately with that realization was like, okay, I think there are some solutions that will come through tech and design.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And what about you, Kevin?
My background is law and business.
Okay.
So
you're the entrepreneur business mind.
yeah.
Okay. And So how did you get
So-
it? You could have done business, but you
Right.
could have just stuck with making money, right?
Yeah, so I mean,
And
I think that there's an artificial dichotomy that when you look at doing things that you can either choose poverty or you can choose to do well in the world, and we think that you actually can bring both together, that you can do well and do good at the same time.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what brought us here was that we really did actually just want to make a difference. We began the idea as kind of like thinking that we'd come up with nonprofit Tinder, right? Swipe right.
non-profit Tinder, I like that.
So you'd swipe right if you wanted to donate, swipe left if you didn't.
Okay.
And as we began
Simple
doing
as that?
as simple as that, but when we started doing our customer discovery and really learning more about the ecosystem, we realized it wasn't a question of needing to put more money into the ecosystem, but rather of putting money in more intelligently, making sure that the right organizations were being funded. And that's how we got to where we are. Like really
but
improving that.
What was the journey? Because you don't just get to the Barclays Accelerator all the way from Washington. So what was the journey? You got your idea, and then what happened next? Like, did you go straight to look for funding? Did you have to convince the rest of the crew to join and be in this with you, or how?
I mean, and any entrepreneur could tell you this, no one can do it by themselves. It really takes a team effort. And you're really lucky in just pulling together like an awesome group of people that were committed, passionate, egoless, and really just wanted to do the right thing and willing to go, the extra mile in order to make an impact. And so that's how we came together. Mike joined the team actually from Maine while he was working with another job. And
you stole him?
It's kind of stolen from his dad's company.
Okay.
But what's amazing, is like while he was working 50, 60, 70 hours a week, traveling all around the world, he was stealing moments of time, and he could have been resting to help us achieve this. He actually wrote the first draft of our Barclays Accelerator application. And because we were so busy doing work, and we're like, we need to do this, but we don't have the time. And it was just amazing. I remember being on the phone with him, and we'd tell him what we're doing, and he would just say, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And then, here we are.
A bit like me. But the thing is, there's a lot of, say, millennials that are doing that. They're working their 9-to-5 jobs normally, and they feel like giving back is the bit on the side.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And you guys have taken it to the next level and actually made it the center of your business.
Yeah.
So
and we're also helping other businesses to do that. And what I mean by that is that the reason why people are doing it on the side is because many times traditional businesses have this dichotomy, whereas we're bringing in this, we're trying to do our best to bring this culture of philanthropy into the very DNA of the business.
Social enterprise, which a lot of people don't understand, is that it is business and you do make money, but it's just most of your profit goes back into some sort of impact environmentally or socially. But you can pay yourself well, right? How do you kind of keep up the kind of business entrepreneurial spirit in your team?
So, do you want to add?
Yeah, this is a very tough question.
Yeah.
I don't think you can teach grit.
Yeah.
I think we're fortunate enough to have a team of 5 full-time members that all have a lot of grit, and we're all very driven. I think we're all very different. But yeah, that's a very difficult question.
Yeah,
I think it's not money motivated.
Yeah.
It's not glory motivated. It's part of it's just like doing it for the sake of. Maybe I'm restless.
Okay, fair enough. But the thing is, if we're gonna, like we were saying, if we're gonna try and help, inspire other people who are just straight up entrepreneurs and are money driven, there's got to be some goal or we have to demonstrate some goal that's going to have to kind of appeal to ego a little bit. Production.
Yeah, produce. Everybody wants to produce something.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have, optimally it's meaningful for others, but at the very least it should be meaningful for yourself.
Yeah.
And I don't know, production, there's something, humanity is always very proud of what it produces. I think we're production-driven individuals. That helps motivate us, helps drive our grit. I think we're all looking in the end to have something that disrupts a space that's ripe for disruption.
Okay. So what would you say to another young person who's watching you guys and thinking, okay, I've got a great idea. that's not thinking, I'm going to make an impact with it, or vice versa. They've got an idea that's thinking impact, but they might not necessarily know how to get into the production entrepreneurial spirit.
So I would say the first thing is just make sure that you're coming up with something which is sustainable, right? Because sustainability is the way that you're going to be able to create real long-lasting impact. There are enough businesses that are essentially fireworks that come and create this luminosity and then immediately fade into solar flares. Right, and so that's one. The second thing is to make sure you pull together like a really big team and that you have a really clear vision. But I would say the final thing is like making sure that you're just executing an execution machine, and that you are always keep your true north in vision.
What about connecting to corporates or people that the money really?
Well, I would say that the network effect is real, and you have to be able to sell and communicate your message to people that are oftentimes a lot bigger than you are. Like right now, some of the companies that we're working with, if you take the entire mark revenue, that's not even a rounding error in their annual budgets, right? And yet, they're taking us seriously because we have a clear vision and we're driving impact, and we're ultimately doing something that they can't do. And that's something which I think a lot of millennials need to realize, that millennial energy, that passion, that special thing that is added when millennials show up and have ideas which would take organizations 5 times more money and 3 times more time to execute. They value the ability of young people like us to be able to do something and partner with them.
So are they coming to you, or did you have to go to them, or is it the meeting in the middle?
I would say initially it was probably us going to them, to be honest. It's not like we were just saying that if we build it they will come. But I think what's amazing is that a lot of things, once there's a bit of momentum, you actually have companies starting to come to you, and that's what we're beginning to realize.
Okay, thanks. You want to add to that, Mike?
Yeah, never underestimate the power of momentum, and never undervalue failure. Like quick iterative failure. Like you're constantly iterating on what you're building and what you're trying to produce. It's never going to be, you should never be fully satisfied with what you have.
So fail quick and fail fast.
Yes, yeah, and iterate very quickly, over and over again without end.
Why though? Because a lot of people will be like, the first 1 or 2 fails, like, no, this is not for me. Why?
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's the thing that separates grit from non-grit. I feel like it depends on the issue that you're solving. The problem that we're encountering here in mapping social impact, shedding light on the nonprofit machinery of the world, that's not a solution. That's not a problem that has a solution on the first try. That's probably not a problem that has a solution on the 100th try. So in the process, there needs to be a constant evolution. A constant conversation, constant failure, constant wins, constant... Yep. So it's always pretty much an open space for people to get into. Yes, and it should be. I mean, I think I think the problem's big enough that like people shouldn't worry at this stage at least about like market exclusivity and competition, making the market too tight for entrance. Like it's wide open. So what's been the biggest challenge so far?
The biggest challenge is we're going into a market that is fragmented, where opaque, and where there's a lot of inefficiency. And so if there are any one of those, it would be an amazing market opportunity. Having all 3, there's an incredible market opportunity, but there are a lot of coordination hurdles and a lot of building up of capacity that a company like ours needs to do. Fortunately, we're partnering with the right people that make it possible. And I think that you're just going to the point that was just made, it's all about understanding the nuances, about finding out all of the assumptions that you have, and then speaking to enough people from different perspectives that help you to understand which of those assumptions are right and which of them are wrong. And in an increasingly complex world, there are very few silver bullets, and you need to be able to kind of pierce through everything with a constant, with an eye on the future, but really in the moment, and learning how to build a bridge from where you are to where you actually want to get.
And the biggest satisfaction? Are you there yet?
Well, yeah, I just said a moment ago, never be satisfied. So I don't want to contradict myself so close to the moment.
Philosophy.
Yeah. I think the biggest satisfaction, I mean, there's been a lot of satisfaction in getting out in the field, engaging nonprofit organizations, mapping out their challenges. I think there's a lot of people that know that not-for-profit organizations experience challenges, but they take them for self-evident and they don't really know what they are exactly. So there's been a lot of satisfaction in initially mapping out how we can think about design positively affecting the nonprofit space.
When you say design, what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is predominantly interaction design. And interaction design is the means by which you and I engage the objects that we have. So our platform, our product would be an object that people need to engage intuitively. And depending on how intuitive that product is, will lead to the success of that product and how frequently it's used. Now, in our circumstance, the user of our product enables this entire mission we're trying to accomplish. If nonprofit organizations don't know how to use our platform or are not enticed to use our platform, then the problems that exist today will persist tomorrow. There'll be no data, there'll be no transparency, there'll be no collaboration, and it ultimately will keep everything static. So interaction design in this instance is figuring out how to produce a product that is intuitive and valuable for nonprofit organizations to use, to open themselves up to transparency and to open themselves up to further donor engagement, because it's not going to come by itself.
Interaction design. Okay, why have we never heard of these careers? No, seriously, really, a lot of people don't really know about these things, and it's important. And in a way, interaction design is going to be crucial for corporates to engage with us, basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah, today it's huge. Now everybody's stepping into this space and realizing that customer experience, user experience are the things that make or break businesses. So, yeah, and it's the same for a social impact space. It's make or break.
Yeah. So what's next? Where do we see Mark Labs in a few years? 2 years' time?
In 2 years' time?
Yeah.
In addition to working with the largest and most influential companies in the world, also really partnering with everyday people to help make their philanthropic giving that much more impactful.
Okay. So how can guys stay in touch with you and what we're doing, apart from me stalking you at every stage?
Well, obviously, follow us on Twitter at Mark Labs.
At Mark Labs on Twitter. Okay.
And in Facebook, stay in touch with us on Instagram. But most importantly, just get involved in your communities, and whether it's through donations or volunteering. It's really a people first approach that's going to ultimately help us resolve the challenges that we're focusing on. Okay,
great. So we're here in London at the moment, but when are you guys heading back? And are you going to be based in Washington or here?
So increasingly, London is actually really strategically focused. It's like this perfect place between East and West. You're able to access Europe, North America, Africa, and Asia really easily from here. So there are a lot of so that's like this is a conversation to be continued.
Okay. Oh, we don't want to lose you. We love you here in London.
Well, we love the weather here.
Well, in Washington, it's really nice at the moment, isn't it?
It is.
So,
but
I would love to meet the rest of your team. So I'm going to go around and say hello and see a bit of your environment and stick my nose in a bit. But thank you so much. And we look forward to keeping updated with you guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.